I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Steve, and I've been married to Lisa for 10 years. We have a daughter, Emily, who's 7. Up until recently, I thought everything between us was solid. We had the usual ups and downs, but I trusted her, or at least I thought I did. Lisa's always been kind of a bitchy, manipulative woman, sharp-tongued, quick to lie, and sometimes downright mean. She's got that typical look, blonde, blue eyes, a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. She's the type who can look perfect on the outside, but just beneath that, she's always had her own agenda. Anyway, I bring that up because I think her personality played a big role in how she managed to hide what she was doing from me for so long. Our marriage started feeling a little strained over the last year, especially after Emily's theater competition started. Lisa has always been proud of Emily's talent, but she also started to act a little distant. I'd notice her coming home late from rehearsals or practice sessions, always claiming she was helping with costumes or supporting Emily. I never really questioned it. Why would I? She's always been a little self-centered, but I trusted her. Plus, Emily's happiness meant everything to me, so I figured she was just genuinely invested in her daughter's passion. But then little things started changing. Lisa would get defensive when I asked about her schedule. She'd snap, say I was paranoid or that I didn't trust her, which honestly made me feel guilty even asking. Still, I tried to ignore it. Maybe I was overthinking it. Maybe I was just insecure because Emily was growing up and I felt like I was losing touch with her. It all started to unravel during that last weekend at the regional theater competition. Emily was ecstatic, and Lisa was supposed to be there watching her rehearsals, supporting her. I dropped Emily off early that Saturday, and Lisa said she'd meet us later at the hotel. But something didn't sit right. She was unusually anxious that morning, fidgeting and brushing off my questions about her plans. She kept telling me she was just supporting Emily, that everything was fine. I didn't think much of it at the time. But then, I started noticing little things that didn't add up. Her phone kept buzzing all day, and she'd quickly hide it whenever I got near. She was unusually tense when I called her from the hotel room that evening, pretending she was busy helping Emily with a costume change. That's when I got suspicious. I decided to check her phone. I know, trust, right? But something about her evasiveness was eating at me. I unlocked her phone with a little effort, and that's when I saw the messages. The texts weren't just about Emily's rehearsals or support. They were flirty, suggestive, full of innuendos. The names in the messages: her drama coach, a guy named Ryan. They'd been texting each other all afternoon, and the tone was unmistakably intimate. My stomach dropped. I saw the pictures, 2 screenshots of hotel room keys, access logs, even a picture of her walking into the hotel lobby with Ryan. I swear I couldn't breathe. All those times she claimed she was watching rehearsals, supporting Emily, she was actually with Ryan doing God knows what. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. For the first few seconds I was just frozen. Then rage took over. I wanted to scream, to break something. How could she do this? After everything, I thought I knew her, but it turns out she'd been lying to me right to my face. I was furious, betrayed, humiliated. I wanted to confront her immediately, but I knew I had to think carefully. I didn't want to blow up everything without a plan. Still, the images burned in my mind. Her sneaking off, that hotel key log, her lies, all of it. It was like a dagger in my heart. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I stayed awake, replaying the day's discovery over and over. I couldn't believe it. Lisa, my wife, my partner for a decade, had been cheating on me with a guy who was supposedly helping our daughter develop her talent. It felt so surreal, so wrong. I was hurt, angry, and honestly a little lost. What do I do now? How do you even begin to fix something this broken? The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. Coffee didn't help, and the house felt colder than usual. I kept thinking about what I saw, about Lisa's lies, about that damn hotel key log. I knew I couldn't just pretend I did. No, I had to confront her, had to get some answers, even if I already knew the truth. I waited until she came downstairs, trying to look normal but failing miserably. Her eyes were puffy, her face tense. When she saw me, she froze for a second, then tried to put on her usual bitchy smirk. "Morning," she said, voice a little too cheerful considering the night she'd had. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "We need to talk, now." She looked surprised, then annoyed. "What's wrong, Steve? You look like you've seen a ghost, or better yet, a damn horror movie." I didn't waste time. I pulled out my phone and showed her the messages, the pictures, the access logs. Her expression changed instantly. She went from that fake smirk to wide eyes, then to anger. "That's bullshit. You're out of your mind," she snapped, crossing her arms defensively. "You've got no proof." "Oh, I've got proof," I said, voice steady but cold. "Hotel logs, screenshots, messages, the whole thing. You lied to me, lied to Emily, and you think you can just brush it off." She started to yell, her voice rising. "You don't know what you're talking about. Ryan's just a friend. He's helped Emily with her acting, that's all. You're crazy if you think." "You're lying," I interrupted. "You were with him, you've been sneaking around. Don't even try to tell me it's just helping Emily or some bullshit like that. I saw the messages, Lisa. I saw the pictures of you walking into that hotel with him. Don't deny it anymore." She looked panicked now, her eyes darting around. "Fine," she spat. "Yes, I was with him. But it's none of your business. I didn't cheat on you. I was just supporting Emily, like I said. You're blowing this way out of proportion." I felt my blood boil. "Supporting Emily doesn't involve hotel keys and secret texts. Do you even hear yourself? You're lying right to my face and I can't take it anymore. How long has this been going on? Weeks? Months?" She shrieked, "You don't get to judge me. I do what I want. Emily's important, and if I want to support her, that's my business." "You're overreacting, as usual." That was the moment I realized I wasn't going to get through to her with words. She was too caught up in her own bullshit. I told her this was over, that I wasn't going to stay with someone who lied and betrayed me like this. She called me names, told me I was paranoid and insecure, but I didn't care anymore. I was done pretending I didn't see the truth. That night I couldn't sleep again. I kept replaying everything, the sneaking around, the lies, her bitchy tone when she was caught. I felt like I'd been punched so many times I was numb. I kept thinking about Emily, about how her innocence might be tainted by her mother's selfishness. I didn't want to believe Lisa was a terrible person, but now I saw the truth. She was cheating on me with her damn drama coach, Ryan, and all her lies about supporting Emily were just cover stories. I felt helpless, betrayed, and furious. What hurt even more was realizing that I'd trusted her for so long, and she'd thrown that trust in the trash. I had no idea how I was going to face her again, or Emily. All I knew was that I couldn't keep going on like this, pretending everything was okay when it was. I had to make a decision, and fast. The days that followed were like living in some terrible, slow-motion nightmare. I couldn't focus on anything. Every time I looked at Lisa, I saw her for what she really was, a liar, a cheat, and someone who'd been cheating on me with Ryan, of all people. It was especially hard because Emily was so innocent, so trusting. I hated the thought of her growing up in a world where her mother played these sick games, pretending everything was perfect. I knew I had to act, but I was also trying to process what I wanted. Part of me just wanted to pack my bags, leave, and forget this ever happened. But there was another part, something darker, that secretly wanted revenge, to make her pay for all the lies, for tearing my family apart. I'd always been a calm, level-headed guy, but this betrayal had ignited something I didn't recognize. A part of me was furious enough to do something stupid. I kept reminding myself to stay cool, to think carefully about my next move. One thing I did do was dig deeper into the hotel logs, the texts and the pictures. I wanted every piece of evidence, every detail. I also started watching her more carefully, noticing how she tried to cover her tracks, acting even more bitchy and dismissive. Whenever I confronted her, she'd come up with some excuse, saying I was paranoid, insecure, jealous, and that Ryan was just a good friend helping Emily. But I wasn't buying that anymore. No way. And then came the day I decided I had to confront Ryan directly. I couldn't let this go on without some kind of reckoning. I found his number hidden deep in Lisa's phone and I called him. The conversation was short but telling. He denied everything at first, but then his voice cracked, almost like he knew he'd been caught. He admitted that Lisa had been over to his place a couple of times, supporting Emily, as she'd told him, but swore nothing physical happened. Yeah, right. That night, I went home and sat in the dark for a long time. I thought about everything. about how Lisa had lied, about her bitchy attitude, about Emily's innocence being so easily compromised. I realized I couldn't keep pretending I was okay with this. Not anymore. I had to decide whether I'd stay and try to fix this mess or walk away and rebuild my life from scratch. My mind was spinning. I felt like I was losing control, but I also knew I couldn't keep living in this state of limbo. I had to face her, had to lay everything on the table. The next morning, I told her I needed to talk, that I wasn't going to accept her bullshit anymore. She rolled her eyes and stormed off, acting like she was the victim. That bitchy smirk still there, like she thought she could lie her way out of this. I sat her down in the kitchen, looked her straight in the eyes, and told her she had two choices. Come clean, tell me the full truth, and maybe we could salvage something, or keep denying everything and see how far I was willing to go. Her face twisted into anger, then contempt. You're a controlling asshole, she spat. You think you own me. Well, I've got news for you. I do what I want, and right now, I don't give a damn about your stupid feelings. That was when I realized it was no longer about fixing the marriage. It was about how much I could take, how much I was willing to endure before I broke. I knew I couldn't stay with someone who lied and cheated, who disrespected me and our family. I had to make a decision. I told her I was done, that I was leaving. The look in her eyes, part hate, part shock, told me she didn't expect me to stand up like that. But I did it anyway. I packed a bag that very night and left the house. It felt like I was walking out of my life, leaving behind everything I thought I knew. The house that once felt like home now felt like a prison. I was hurt, angry, but strangely relieved. I knew this wasn't the end, but maybe the beginning of something better, something I could control. I didn't want to be with a woman who thought she could cheat and lie her way through life. I deserved better. Emily deserved better. As I drove away, I looked at that house in the rearview mirror, knowing I'd never see Lisa the same way again. I'd been betrayed in the worst way, and it stung. But I also felt a strange sense of clarity. I realized I was stronger than I thought, that I could rebuild after this. And honestly, part of me was glad I found out now, before I wasted more time pretending everything was okay. There's a certain brutal honesty in betrayal. It forces you to see things clearly, even if it hurts like hell. The first few days after I left were the hardest. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut so many times I didn't know how to breathe properly. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her bitchy smirk, those texts, the hotel logs. I kept replaying everything, wondering how I missed the signs, how I didn't see that she was already planning to betray me. It's one thing to suspect, but it's another entirely to have proof of the betrayal. That realization hit me hard. My wife, the woman I loved and trusted, was cheating on me with someone who was supposed to be helping our daughter develop her craft. I remember sitting alone in my apartment, trying to piece everything together. It felt surreal, like I was living someone else's nightmare. I was angry at her, sure, but I was also deeply hurt. That kind of pain is different from regular heartbreak. It's a deep, gnawing ache that makes you question everything about your marriage, about your worth. How could she do this? How could she lie so convincingly for so long? And what was I supposed to do now? I started reaching out to a few friends, telling them what happened, trying to get some perspective. Most of them told me I was better off without her, that she was a manipulative bitch, and I shouldn't waste my energy on someone so selfish. That helped a little, but it didn't erase the sting of betrayal. I knew I needed to do something about this, not just for myself, but for Emily. I couldn't have her growing up thinking this kind of deceit is normal. In the days that followed, I also made sure Emily was okay. I didn't want her to sense the chaos around us. I told her her mom was busy, had to take care of some work, and that she'd be home soon. I didn't want to scare her or make her think everything was falling apart, but I also knew I had to be honest with her eventually. She was too perceptive for her age, and I didn't want her to find out about her mother's lies from other people, or worse, from her own friends. Meanwhile, Lisa kept acting like everything was normal. She, call or text, trying to act innocent, acting like I was overreacting. Some of her friends even reached out, trying to get her to see reason, telling her she was making a mistake, that I was too jealous or paranoid. That only made her more defiant, more bitchy. She'd lash out, call me names, accuse me of trying to control her. Honestly, I felt a mix of disgust and pity. She was so caught up in her own lies, she couldn't even see she was destroying her own life. One day, I got a message from Emily's school, asking if everything was okay because Emily had been acting strangely, quiet and distant, and was asking questions about her mom. That was a wake-up call. I knew I couldn't keep hiding what was going on. I needed to be honest with Emily, but in a way that wouldn't traumatize her. I told her that her mom was busy with work and that sometimes adults make mistakes, but that I loved her no matter what, that I'd always be there for her. I promised myself from that moment on that I'd protect her from the chaos and never let her see us broken. The worst part was realizing how much I loved her. Despite everything Lisa had done, I still cared about her. Deep down, she was still the mother of my child. But I knew I couldn't trust her anymore. Every time I thought about her sneaking off with Ryan, every lie she told, I felt like I was losing respect for her and, more importantly, for myself. How do you rebuild trust after this? How do you even look at someone the same way again? In this mess, I also started to consider legal options. I wasn't sure if I wanted a divorce yet, but I knew I needed to protect my rights as a father and as her husband. I contacted a lawyer just to see what my options were. I wasn't ready for full-blown separation, but I wanted to be prepared. I also wanted to document everything, the texts, the hotel logs, the photos, just in case I needed to prove any of this later. Honestly, I felt exhausted. The betrayal hit me so hard I wondered if I was even capable of trusting anyone again. It's one thing to get cheated on. It's another to realize that your entire marriage was built on lies. I kept telling myself that I deserved better, that I'd get through this. But the pain was real, and some nights I'd lie awake, wondering if I'd ever feel normal again. If I'd ever stop questioning everything about her, about us, about what I did wrong, even though I knew deep down this wasn't my fault. She chose to cheat. She chose to lie. And that's what cut the deepest. The weeks after I left were a blur of emotions: anger, sadness, relief, and that gnawing feeling of betrayal that never quite left me. I spent most days trying to keep it together for Emily's sake, but inside I was falling apart. I couldn't stop thinking about Lisa's lies, her bitchy attitude, how she'd deceive everyone just to cover her own ass. And Ryan, that bastard, walking around like he was some kind of hero in her eyes, probably already thinking he'd won some trophy for his support. One thing I did that helped slightly was cutting off contact with Lisa. I didn't want her to keep playing those mind games, trying to guilt me or make me feel like I was the crazy one. I blocked her number, social media, everything. I didn't want to see her bitchy face or hear her voice. Honestly, it was a relief. I needed space to breathe, to think clearly, and to start figuring out what I really wanted. But blocking her didn't mean I stopped caring. I still loved her, or at least I used to. Now I was just furious. I started reflecting on everything, the good times, the bad times, how I'd let her get away with so much because I believed in us. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I could have been so blind. Maybe I'd been too trusting, or maybe she was just really good at hiding her true self. Meanwhile, Emily's school called again. They said she was acting out at lunch, asking lots of questions about her mom's whereabouts, and she seemed upset whenever she talked about the upcoming weekend. That hit me hard. I realized I had to be honest with her, age-appropriate honesty, of course. I sat her down one afternoon, took a deep breath, and told her that sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, and that her mom was busy with work or other things. I told her I loved her more than anything and that I'd always be there to take care of her. I promised that no matter what, she was safe, and she could always come to me with anything. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the ceiling, trying to process everything. I felt exhausted, emotionally drained, but also strangely determined. I knew I had to decide whether I would try to fix this mess or just move on. I'd been through enough pain to know that staying wasn't an option if Lisa kept lying and sneaking around. But part of me still hoped that maybe, just maybe, there was a way to salvage what little was left of our marriage, if she was even willing. I thought about confronting her again, but what was the point? She'd already lied so much that I doubted anything she'd say anymore. I'd made my decision. I was done waiting for her to change. I was going to focus on Emily, on rebuilding my own life, and maybe, eventually, finding someone who deserved my trust. Someone who wouldn't betray me like this. The hardest part wasn't just the betrayal itself. It was realizing how much I'd let her manipulate me, how I'd been blind to her true nature. I'd always believed in giving chances, but she'd pushed too far this time. And now, I had to live with the consequences. I knew I'd never forget what she did, but I also knew I couldn't let it define me. I had to find a way to move forward, to heal, and to learn from this nightmare. Maybe someday, I'd even look back and understand why she did what she did. For now, I just wanted to be free of the chains of lies and betrayal. The final weeks have been a roller coaster. I've gone from numbness to anger, then to a kind of quiet acceptance. I still think about Lisa, how she fooled me for so long, how she played the perfect wife just to hide her real self. But I've also realized something crucial. I can't control her actions, only how I respond to them. That's what's been hardest to accept, but also the most freeing. I decided to get a lawyer and start the process of legally separating. It was a long, exhausting process filled with endless paperwork, court dates, and meetings. But I knew I needed to do it for Emily's stability and for my own peace of mind. I didn't want her to grow up thinking lying and cheating are normal. I wanted her to see that honesty and integrity matter, that even when your world feels like it's falling apart, you can rebuild better and stronger. Throughout all this, I've been focusing on my daughter, making sure she feels loved and safe. I've started taking her to therapy just to help her process everything she's going through. She's a resilient kid, way smarter than I ever gave her credit for, and I want to protect her innocence as much as I can. I've also been trying to rebuild my own life, reconnecting with friends, working out, and even considering dating again someday. Not now, at least not yet, but I know it's a possibility. Looking back, I realize that betrayal cuts so deep because it shatters the trust you build with someone you once believed was your partner. In life, Lisa's lies didn't just hurt me, they hurt Emily too. But I also learned that you can survive the worst heartbreaks if you hold on to your integrity and focus on what really matters: your kid, your self-worth, and your future. If there's one thing I want others to take from my story, it's this: trust your gut, but don't ignore the small signs. If you suspect someone's cheating, don't wait until concrete proof hits you like a brick wall. Confront it early for your own peace of mind. And if you find out the worst, like I did, don't stay stuck in anger or despair. Use it as a lesson. Be honest with yourself, protect those you love, and remember that no betrayal is worth losing your sense of self. Life will go on. Sometimes it's brutal, but in the end, you come out stronger than you ever thought possible.